All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we're going to now get into talking about the Cowboys-Falcons game. Falcons getting the win 27-21. Kirk Cousins, 3 touchdown passes in this game. And yeah, this was not a good game for the Cowboys. Not a good game. For a couple of things. They were undisciplined. Questionable decisions, and injuries. Dak Prescott left the game with a hamstring injury. It was a non-contact injury. I thought he got hit, got tackled the wrong way, whatever. No, he was going to throw a pass. He planted his foot, I guess, in an awkward way, and he left the game with a hamstring injury, and also had a hand injury as well. So we don't know what the extent of that is. Could be missing an extended period of time. We'll have to, when we get the details of that, I'll make sure to break it down. But this was not a good game for them. The Cowboys, they were coming off a loss against the 49ers. They've lost 3 in a row now. Their 3 wins are against the Giants, the Browns, and they beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh, but the Steelers should have won that game. And that was an ugly game. I was not impressed by that win. But, these last 3 games, they lost against better competition. They are just not the team that they were last year. Now, partly, again, it's because of injuries, but they're just not a good team. They are not a good team this year. They have so many issues. And it's not like Dak Prescott's been playing well. He has 11 touchdowns to 8 picks. That's not that good. And CeeDee Lamb also got banged up in this game too. It's just, it looks like a lost season for the Cowboys. There's definitely going to be changes after this year. And Jerry Jones spoke after the game, and he said that they're going to try to make some moves. At least that's what he was saying to the media. It seemed like he was saying, hey, we're going to make moves to try to improve this team before the trade deadline. I really don't know what move you can make to improve this team. There's just so many things wrong. Now, you're going to get guys back. You're going to get Deron Bland back. You're going to get DeMarcus Lawrence back. You're going to get Micah Parsons back. But is that going to be enough? And it's crazy to say that because, these guys that are coming back are good football players. They are really good football players. But the defense, Deron Bland's been out the whole year so far, but even with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, the defense was not playing well. And on top of that, you can't run the football. And Ezekiel Elliott was inactive for this game, was missing, meetings and practice. And, the two sides made the decision, yeah, it's probably best you don't play in this game this weekend. And he's looked at as supposedly one of the leaders of this team, and he's out. So there's another issue there. And, I was watching, some clips from Get Up with Mike Greenberg and Dan Orlovsky and Rex Ryan, and next season, I think Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb are going to account for, I think they said 46% of the Cowboys salary cap. Dak Prescott is going to have like a $90 million cap hit. Pretty much. The Cowboys are not in a good spot right now. They're not. And it's just, who knows if it's going to get better. And you see what Washington looks like right now. And look, the Eagles, we'll talk about their game at some point this week, but they almost blew a 22-0 lead to the Jaguars. But they're 6-2. Cowboys are, and if it wasn't for the Giants, the Cowboys would be the worst team in the division right now. So, yeah, and yesterday, they go for, they do a fake punt, and they end up not getting it. And it's like, why don't you just put the ball in the hands of your quarterback to try to go and make a play instead of doing that? It's just, and Mike McCarthy's throwing down the tablet. He's probably gone after this year. It's a mess right now with the Cowboys. But to kind of go through the game summary, so the Falcons got the ball. They punted to start the game. And then the Cowboys put together a nice drive. They go 7 plays, 59 yards. They get down to the Falcons' 16-yard line, and we get a field goal from Brandon Arbery. a 34-yarder. So that made it 3-0 Cowboys. Falcons then responded. 7 plays, 78 yards down the field. Kirk Cousins connects with Drake London, who got hurt in this game, for a 9-yard touchdown. So that made it 7-3. The Cowboys punted. And then Kirk Cousins got sacked, lost the ball, and the Cowboys recovered. But then they turned it over on downs. They tried a run with CeeDee Lamb, and he ended up getting tackled. Turnover on downs. Then the Falcons put together another touchdown drive. On 4th and 3, Kirk Cousins connects with Darnell Mooney for a 36-yard touchdown. So that made it 14-3. Cowboys then put together a touchdown drive. They went 9 plays, 70 yards, almost 4.5 minutes of time of possession, and Dak Prescott connected with Rico Dowdle to make it 14-10. Falcons punted. Cowboys turned it over on downs. Then they turned it over on downs to start the third quarter. Yeah, they went for a fake punt, didn't get it, and the Falcons capitalized on it. Kirk Cousins connected with Ray McCloud for an 11-yard touchdown, so it was 21-10. Then both teams punted. Aubrey kicked another field goal, a 57-yard field goal, so that made it 21-13. Then the Falcons scored another touchdown. Tyler Algier, a 6-yard touchdown. They went for 2. They did not get it. More punts. Cowboys turned it over on downs. They did score a touchdown, and this was with Cooper Rush at quarterback. He connected with Jalen Tolbert for a 4-yard touchdown. But the Falcons were able to ice the game. Cowboys went for the onside kick, and they didn't get it. So they fall to 3-5 on the season. Dak Prescott, 18 of 24, 133 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Cooper Rush almost threw for more yards than him. He went 13 of 25 for 115 yards and a touchdown. Rico Dowdle, 12 carries for 75 yards. Dalvin Cook only had 2 for 8. Jacob Ferguson was their leading receiver, 7 receptions for 71 yards. CeeDee Lamb, 8 for 47. He had a big day last week and really did not do much in this game. Couple of sacks by the Cowboys defense. And then Kirk Cousins, 19 of 24, 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's been good the last 2 weeks. Maybe is this where the Falcons get it going, or we're gonna go back to being inconsistent? They're 6-3 right now. They're sitting in a good spot. They ran the ball for 100 yards on the dot. Bijan Robinson had 86 on the ground. Algier had 18 with a touchdown. Darnell Mooney, 5 for 88 and a touchdown. Bijan Robinson also had 7 receptions for 59 yards. Ray McCloud, 3 for 28 and a touchdown. Drake London, like I said, got hurt. 2 for 27 and a touchdown. Kyle Pitts, only 1 for 11. Kirk Cousins, a couple of fumbles. He only did lose 1. 3 sacks of the Cowboys in this game by the Falcons defense. But they improved to 6-3. So, right now they're in the driver's seat. And if the Bucs lose tonight, it just, to me, the division's over. If the Bucs lose tonight. The Falcons, their schedule is not that bad. They have a couple of tough games on the road, but for the most part, I do think that they'll be fine. They'll get to the 10 wins and they'll win the division. That's what I had them at. I had them at 10-7. So they're heading in the right direction. The Cowboys they aren't. And there's going to be, like I said, there's going to be a lot of changes. Well, I shouldn't say a lot, but I mean, at least when it comes to the head coach, that's where it's going to start. And I don't know what they're going to do. But like I said, Jerry Jones did make some comments to the media that maybe that there's going to be moves on the way. I don't know what exactly, but it's just not a good season for them. I was blind to the fact that, they're a good regular season team. They'll get their, 11 wins, and they'll make the playoffs, and then they'll get knocked down in the first round. They're not even going to sniff the playoffs the way they're playing. And you got Philadelphia next week. You still haven't even played the Commanders yet. I mean, you're probably going to lose. You're going to get swept by both of them. And especially with that, well, who knows? We'll see how Cooper Rush plays. I mean, Cooper Rush, when he filled in a couple of years ago, he did a nice job, but I don't think it's just a Dak Prescott problem. It's a lot of different things. They can't run the football. The defense is not playing well. They're undisciplined. It's all these different things. It's a combination, similar to what the Jets are right now. But what, the Jets did come off a win against the Houston Texans. The Cowboys, they haven't even won a home game this year. And the Cowboys are a team that always defends their home turf. They have not won a single home game this year. They lost to the Ravens. They lost to the Saints. They lost to the Lions. Talk about not defending your home turf. Am I missing one more? Yeah. 0-3 at home. Then they got the Eagles and the Texans coming in. And the Texans are going to get Nico Collins back next week. So you could be 3-7. It's not looking good. Not looking good for the Cowboys. And, you paid your star players, but your star players are going to kind of, in a way, prohibit you from, making other moves. There's a lot. When you got two guys that are going to be making up 46% of your salary cap, and on top of that, your best defensive player is going to be looking to get paid, they're in trouble. They're in trouble. And look, Cowboy fans know what needs to be done. There's things that they want to be done that probably not. Things are not going to happen. Maybe Jerry Jones steps down, but it's not going to happen because they want that. Now, could they go out and bring in a Mike Vrabel or a Bill Belichick after the year? Because Belichick could end up being the guy that's brought into Dallas. It seems like that could happen. And would that change things? It definitely would, because the defense would not be playing like this. The defense would be better. I mean, look at what Jim Harbaugh has done with the Chargers. The Chargers defense was one of the worst defenses in the league last year, and now it's a pretty good defense. It's a pretty good defense, and they're sitting in a playoff spot right now. Jim Harbaugh's a good coach. Now Bill Belichick, obviously his resume is a lot better than Jim Harbaugh's, and I know things didn't pan out towards the end of his tenure in New England, but Bill Belichick definitely could change things in a positive way for the Cowboys. Now, as a Giant fan, I don't want to see him go to Dallas, but that could be where he ends up. That could definitely be where he ends up. It's looking more likely, unless the Cowboys turn it around and they go all the way to the Super Bowl and win it, which is not going to happen. Mike McCarthy is definitely out after this year. I would be shocked if he comes back next year. I would be shocked. But then again, you see how long the Cowboys held on to Jason Garrett. So like anything is possible. But when you got Bill Belichick out there, though, I think the Cowboys are going to want to try to lure him in and cut ties with Mike McCarthy. So, but it's just not looking good for them. 3-5. Now, we don't know what the extent of the Dak Prescott injury is. Let's take a little quick look on social media and see if there's any updates. But now with Dak Prescott being out, I mean, it's what are we doing? So, gonna take a quick look, see if there's any updates. So yeah, he'll undergo an MRI in his hamstring. So right now, yeah, we don't have any idea. But I would expect him to miss, the next several weeks. I'm just gonna make that assumption. He's gonna miss at least some time. And at that point, it's like, if the Cowboys are out of it, do you even bring him back and just let Cooper Rush finish out the year? It's going to be interesting, but yeah, right now it's not good. It's not looking good for them. But for the Falcons, they're maybe hitting their stride. Maybe they've won their last two. They're depending on what the Bucs do tonight, this division looks like it's going to be theirs. Because the Saints and the Panthers, they're out. It's just between those two. And unfortunately for the Bucs, I mean, they're just dealing with a ton of injuries. If you had a healthy Chris Godwin and a healthy Mike Evans, I would feel differently, but they don't. And I unfortunately don't think this game tonight is going to go well for them. I'd be surprised if they won. But we will get into it, because speaking of that, we will take our last break of the show, and then when we come back, we will preview tonight's game between the Chiefs and the Buccaneers, talk about who wins, all that, when we return. So, for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.